And here we are. Good afternoon. Welcome to Artist Alchemy with our special guest, Narinder Dhaliwal, Board President of Yuba Sutter Arts. Good afternoon, Narinder.
Hey, David.
Good to see you. Boy, we've hit the big time, haven't we?
It's certainly interesting times. I know.
I don't know. Virtual reality. Will this replace the real thing? I hope not. But
I agree. I hope not.
My automotive gas bill is way down. Of course, now the prices are $2 a gallon or something. It's a crazy time. I know it has its ups and downs, but I know we'll all be looking forward to getting back to some semblance of normal. So how's your daily routine? I know you usually travel a fair amount, and Sacramento is the home office, but you're in your home office today.
I am. I think you can see my messy fridge back there, but
all right.
Yeah, life has been interesting. You know, you're right, I do travel a lot, and I feel like for me, it's almost like a reset. It's giving me the opportunity to not be at meetings, knowing that I don't have to be at meetings because they're not happening, or some of them are happening virtually, which is perfect as well and working out well, you know, via Zoom and other, you know, mechanisms that we have in place, or just plain old teleconference calls. But I feel like I'm at a point because it was like, yeah, it'll start happening again, and we'll be doing all of, you know, going out and
Having a little technical difficulty, I think. Are you still there? We lost your video. Oh, are you back?
Yep.
Okay, there you are. So yeah, reset and Zoom meetings, and that's become part of our new reality.
I think also one of the things I've been able to do is get my walking back in, which I'd kind of like let go of for a while.
Oh.
Because I was never in a place where I could getting out and getting at least 12,000 steps in a day. So at least 6 days a week. So I feel like, I don't know, I went over to my mom's the other day and she's like, oh, have you lost any weight? And I said, no, I didn't go. I called my mom the other day and she said, well, have you lost any weight? And I said, no, I don't think so. And she goes, well, why not? And I'm like, just walking to stay healthy, Mom.
Right? Yeah. Well, good for you. 12,000 steps. What is that? That's 5 or 6 miles, isn't it?
Yeah, just over 5. Yeah, just between 5 and 6 miles.
And you're all out along what's that trail called? I always forget the name.
You know, it's the bike path that goes from Hooper Road all the way out to Sutter. So I kind of do half of it and back.
We've talked about doing some kind of pop-up mural project out there along the trail at some point.
Oh my goodness, that would be amazing.
A little bit of that in Live Oak, where we've planted murals around town and places that don't necessarily have a building, and we've done them with big digital prints mounted out in some parks and what have you, inobtrusive. So, well, yeah, we've all adapted in various ways. Like Yuba Sutter Arts, we're planning our second virtual board meeting on Wednesday evening. So, as Yuba Sutter Arts board president, I'll look forward to you officiating another very efficient meeting. Speaking of your work with Yuba Sutter Arts, I wanted to read something. This was actually from your address in our most recent annual report that we just published a month and a half ago or so. It's a quote by, of all people, Albert Einstein, but the quote says, all religions, arts, and sciences are branches of the same tree. All these aspirations are directed toward ennobling man's life, lifting it from the sphere of mere physical existence and leading the individual towards freedom. And, you know, Albert Einstein, pretty bright guy. Even he paid attention and recognized the importance of arts in our daily lives. And we think now more than ever. I know a lot of us that are sheltering in place, that really can't go out or don't go out very much. We value whether it's poetry or the visual arts or all the things, the music, that we can still enjoy at home and somehow lift our spirits during these difficult times. So now more than ever. So we've really appreciated your leadership at Yuba Sutter Arts and the Just I think the business background that you bring, your experience with grants, grant writing, and large grant management. In fact, specifically, you've helped Yuba Sutter Arts. We'll do a couple of things. We did a wonderful project last year with your organization ETR, and I want you to talk more about the company a little bit later. But we were able to get high school students involved in a tobacco education project. In fact, we even had students from Wheatland High School come out, and they were models for us for a photography project, which was designed to help develop some retailer education materials around the sale of tobacco products. And the gist of the project, I think, was to say, hey, look, this person looks like they might
I
be.
don't know if it's my computer, David, but you're frozen on my end. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're frozen on mine too, but it sounds like the audio is still working. So but student participation in projects using art as a vehicle for education, I think is so invaluable.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you just perfectly. Yes. So the Art to End Tobacco project went on with several high schools involved, Yuba City and River Valley, as well as Marysville High School. And that's where we challenged the students to create works of art. We've lost Narinder for a moment here on the visual. I don't know if she can hear or not, but we'll bring her back momentarily. But the high school art departments, the teachers supported this and had their students actually create posters that had something to do with tobacco and featuring tobacco imagery and the whole messaging that tobacco is not good. You'd think we know that by now, and of course we do, but the prevalence of vaping, and that's become such a sort of a pandemic in and of itself, if you will, the use of vaping products by a lot of students. And so continuing that tobacco education program, and that's centers on a lot of the work that Narinder is doing now in her professional life. Hey, there she is. She's back.
Hey, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I apologize. I think it just must be the internet connection. Sorry about that.
That's all right. You're back live and well. I was just talking about the high school art to end tobacco project, having the students create artwork around a central theme of art to end tobacco. And then these posters that they created were exhibited at Yuba Sutter Arts in a great gallery show. And then we used those same images to create decks of cards, playing cards, so that the artwork kind of lived on, and using those cards as an additional educational outreach. So each student's artwork was encapsulated into decks of playing cards, and they all made it into the cards. We had a few duplicates to complete the one final deck, but I think we had 4 or 5 decks. Over 200 students participated, and it was a great project thanks to the grant provided by ETR.
Thanks, David. I think for us, that was kind of like a pilot project, and it was, in a way, looking at what a possible project to do with a few of the tribal boarding schools, because a lot of our work pertains with working with tribal nations in California. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was really engage tribal youth. There's boarding schools in Southern California for tribal youth, but there's also tribal schools, you know, in Northern and Central as well. And we were trying to work with Yuba Sutter Arts to see how this would go. You know, how would the presentations be perceived? And I know that we had one of our colleagues that actually did the tobacco component of the presentation, and then Yuba Sutter Arts, Layla, went in and kind of gave them direction. And she actually designed the cover of the backside of the card, which was amazing. And
that's right. That was Leila Rivera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was very well received, and very well received by our funder. And we're looking forward to expanding on that and moving that forward to work with the tribal schools. So it was a great opportunity.
That's right. I forgot about that piece where, yes, that's right. Leila and one of your representatives went into the high school classrooms to talk about this project and further promote the educational component.
Yes, let's hope that representative did a good job, since it was Mandir.
I'm sure he did. I know. Your son, who's part of the ETR team. Talk a little bit more about ETR. Every time I look at the website, I'm overwhelmed. I say it's part of its consumer safety, and that's some of what you've been involved with. But I know it goes much broader and deeper than that.
Yeah, ETR, we're growing actually, even in these times. And my component of work is I'm the director of the alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs area of a body of our work. We have 4 different bodies of work, and it we sexual and reproductive health. We have KT9, working in the schools. We also have a huge research department that kind of collaborates with us. Obviously, my projects are all around tobacco, but we also do ETR creates materials and products and sells those materials as well. So there's curriculums for in-school curriculums, school-based, that are Health Smart, which is an amazing set of curriculum that actually goes from kindergarten through elementary, then middle school, then high school, and even college through graduate as well. So universities are actually using that curriculum for around public health, and it's all public health education and information. We have an amazing CEO, Vignetta Charles, who is very well known and very well respected within her body of work, and at the CDC. So we have funding that comes from the CDC, from NIH, from the state of California, from other states as well, from Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. So numerous aspects of funding that comes through that really enables us to make a change. And I think one of the things that we are super proud of is that our programmatic work, in fact, all of our work that we do, is really steeped in health equity and really bringing the framework of health equity into all of our work. And one of the things that we're super proud of most recently with our Tribal Community Coordinating Center grant is that we, working with a tribal advisory council, which is made up obviously of tribal individuals that represent the 4 geographic regions of the state, southern, northern, central, and coastal California. The tribal representatives help guide that work. So nothing really gets put out there without their approval and without the guidance. So hence our name, Tribal Community Coordinating Center, our mission statement for that project. And also we have a health equity framework that is built for our tribal work, specifically pulled from ETR's health equity framework. So,
and what did you tell me recently? There are over 100 federally recognized tribes just in the state of California?
110 federally recognized tribes, yes.
And you work with about half of them?
We interact with almost all of them, but work more in-depthly with around about half of them, yes.
Yeah, that's just an amazing number. I mean, that many unique communities out there in the tribal world, if you will, and doing that incredible work. And you're talking about health equity, and that's such a topic of conversation these days as we work our way through the COVID-19 issues, and those with access and those without, and all of those issues that I know you deal with on a regular basis in your work. ETR, amazing organization. So you're doing well by doing good, I guess, right? You're hard at work. It's I know all these projects are passion projects for you. Believe deeply in what you do and the work and education you bring to the community. You're no stranger to community service, even when we're not in this crisis mode like we are right now. You've certainly served the community in your many years here, and I know you've been on a number of boards: the Sutter Performing Arts Association, the Yuba City Friends of Parks and Recreation. Weren't you the Peachtree Health board member? And have I missed any? Now YubaSutterArts board president. So you're a gift to Yuba Sutter and all this great community service that you're involved in. You worked, I think you worked for Sutter County for a while too, didn't you? Actually, as a county employee.
I did. I started off as an eligibility worker at Sutter County. And then I moved over to the welfare department, and then I moved over into public health. And for many years, worked in injury prevention and child passenger safety, which is how I started working with Yuba City Parks and Rec, Sutter County Sheriff's Department, Yuba City Police Department, and I've continued and still to this day continue relationships. Not as we don't currently have any funding for injury prevention. I left Sutter County, well, and then I moved into tobacco while I was at Sutter County as the overseeing the health education department, and then moved to ETR actually in August of 2005. So almost 15 years, David, that I have been gone from Sutter County Public Health, but obviously I still live in Yuba City. My parents live here, my brothers live here. You know, I still have close ties to Yuba City. I have amazing friends that live in Yuba and Sutter counties, and obviously it's just me and the cat at home now for many years, but we are still, you know, we were fortunate enough with Yuba City Police Department to write an Office of Traffic Safety grant for many years, and we're funded to continue our child passenger safety work, and have actually, and that came to an end, but.
Was that while you were with the county, or was that,
No.
that was at
No. No, sorry, that wasn't an ETR. That was I formed with a couple of good friends of mine, a nonprofit, Health and Social Policy Institute, to continue some of this work at a much smaller level or capacity, you know, with less funding, but at least to keep something going. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Kiwanis. Yuba City Kiwanis Club has been very graciously supporting HASP in our child passenger safety efforts and giving us, at one time it was $2,000, but then $1,000 a year. And we received that last year as well since we don't have any funding right now, to be able to purchase child passenger safety seats, conduct checkup events, and get these seats out into the community right now as they're still needed. You know, there's grandparents and parents born every day, right? And so
that's one of those simple things. And I see the workshops that have been promoted periodically. And then I know you've been behind a lot of that work, but it's one of those simple things that in my mind, you know, it's like putting in that darn car seat. And, you know, whether you're a parent or grandparent and struggling with all the straps, and you know you got to do it right, or you jeopardize the whole security system that you're trying to create for the child. So important. And to have those on-site, in-person trainings is such a wonderful thing to be able to offer.
And Sutter County Children and Families Commission, we received many grants from them also that enabled us to continue putting on courses, because I'm an instructor in child passenger safety and a certified instructor. And we have quite a few technicians that we've trained that we still have, that have kept maintained their certification. And Sutter County Children and Families Commission actually has two child safety technicians that are certified, amongst others, both in Yuba and Sutter counties, to enable us to continue to do this work at a much lower level, but still at least making a little bit of a difference still and providing that information and education and child restraints.
Michelle Blake and her team, we love them. We worked with them on a number of projects. So, oh, fantastic. So here we are today, living in Yuba Sutter, and it's all its glory, and it's a wonderful place. I came here on purpose, I think, like you did at some point. And for those who aren't multi-generational families, and there's certainly a lot of those in the community that we know and love, and others of us just sort of arrive here. But you know, looking back in your life, so what was an outstanding early influence in your life? Was there a particular teacher or family member or friend that is to some extent responsible for who you are today?
Oh, I think that, you know, I think every individual that comes into our lives makes us who we are today. But I think for me, one of the things that gave me a love of books and reading and just art was my high school English teacher. Her name was Mrs. Wood. And, it was English literature, and it was obviously O level, you know, in England, and GCSE. And she just was so passionate about just the world of books, and just, you know, how your mind can open up, and you literally can travel anywhere through reading books, right? And you can experience numerous things just by reading, whether it's novels or it's just literature, whether it's biographies. But really did, I think it's because she was just so enthusiastic that it really resonated with me and gave me a great love of books. So that's always been with me.
Gotta love those inspirational high school teachers. Mine was Rodna Schutz, my high school Shakespeare and drama teacher, and she's with me every day. So yes, I can completely relate, as I know many of us can, to that inspirational teacher in our lives that opened doors and led us down a lot of wonderful paths in our lives. So that's fantastic. Any current inspirations, any art or music that's grabbed your attention while you're in quarantine?
You know, David, I was thinking about that, and I love all types of music. I think my very favorite music to listen to is anything that is live. Anything that is live, any genre, as long as it's live. I get so excited by live music. It can be amazing, it can be not so amazing, but to me, it's just wonderful when it's just live. And I think, you know, having a son who went out to Sutter High School after both of my girls went to Yuba City, and, you know, being really entrenched in country life for him,
Yes.
music. And it sounds so, I don't know what the correct term is, but I love country music. I just love any kind of country music. There's a lot of people that I encounter, and especially that get in my car and the country music's blaring and they're like, can you change the station? And I'm like, oh, sure. but any kind of music. I mean, I actually love classical music as well. And, you know, periodically I'll be just sitting and just listening to just classical music. And again, you know, Beethoven, Mozart, are two of my favorites.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because my father, who was the major music influence in my life, not as a musician, but as a listener, and his two extremes were country and classical. So I got lots of Sons of the Pioneers and Marty Robbins, some of that old school Western, and, you know, Hank Williams, and then lots of the classical. But he didn't like Baroque, didn't care for Bach, not his thing, but everything else. And so I had to pick up jazz and blues and, you know, musical theater and all that stuff on my own later in life. But it's so funny you mentioned those classical and country. And I'm with you, because there's so much, you know, great repertoire there to explore. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, that's interesting, because we were watching something over the weekend. I've had some kind of rediscoveries during quarantine. So there was a special on public TV about Peter, Paul, and Mary, who I was able to see both in Los Angeles at the Hollywood Bowl, and then also years later toward the end of their touring time together at Wolf Trap, which is a wonderful outdoor venue on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. Excuse me. And you know, and looking back, and I heard some of their music, like I was hearing it for the first time, and it was just a powerful experience. I mean, really kind of overwhelming, in fact, emotionally, to connect with some of their social activism, and regardless of the cause, politics aside, but that kind of passion that, you know, art can bring forward, and that still resonates. Gosh, almost over 50 years later in some cases. They were starting in the early 60s. So, you know, art as art for social change. How about that? That's generic, I think, and non-judgmental. So, always powerful messaging. So, yeah, reconnecting with some music in our lives and the things that carry us through.
You know, you were talking about putting some artwork along the walking trail from Hooper Road through Sutter, and it reminded me of when I was in India the last time in Pondicherry, and they have walking trails and gardens, and they have artwork that's just randomly placed along the trails with just inspirational quotes. And I took some pictures of that, so I'll have to share them with you. Just a thought, a beautiful, like the artwork were all flowers, different types of flowers. And there were inspirational quotes underneath and as part of it. So I'll have to share that with you.
I love it. I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree, right? Our old friend Joyce Kilmer. It's funny you mentioned that. Our good friend Julie Kennard from Easter Seals was out doing a walkabout today in the community, and she was encountering some of our utility box murals and posting on Facebook. And I guess she hadn't seen any of our past postings about them, and so I was able to, as she was live on Facebook, I was providing background information on the artists and explaining more about the project. So I've promised to get her a complete listing of all of our utility box mini murals, we call them, part of our Cover It program. So, yeah, encountering those kinds of things, whether it's on a trail or in the cityscape, the urban landscape, that can be a an important moment of your day, even for a minute or two. You stop, you look, you admire, you enjoy, you appreciate. I love the idea of having the quotes too as an additional piece of that. So we've talked a little bit about your work with the California tribal communities, but April is National Poetry Month. You may have seen some of our postings. In fact, I think this afternoon, Sutter County supervisors passed our resolution to appoint our new Yuba Sutter Poet Laureate,
Oh,
Marcela
wonderful.
Castillo. So that was discussed at the last board meeting. So that's now official. Yuba County
Yay.
supervisors passed the resolution last week. So I think we have the only two county poet laureate in the state. But we've talked in the past about a very interesting young poet named Rumi Carr, and we revisited her today. And what do you think? Would you care to share
I
a
would love to. Yes, I would love to. I was looking through this, and you actually bought me this book, so thank you.
I thought so, and I could not for the life of me remember her name today, so I'm glad we retrieved that. But really a fascinating young woman, born in the Punjab province, and
Mhm.
moved to Canada, I think, when she was quite young with her family, and just done some beautiful work and getting a lot of attention for her poetry.
So on the back cover of the book, I saw this after I was looking at the quotes. I want to start off with just what she wrote on the very back cover of her Milk and Honey collection of poems here. She says, "This is the journey of surviving through poetry. This is the blood, sweat, tears of 21 years. This is my heart in your hands. This is the hurting, the loving, the breaking, and the healing."
Hmm.
And I don't know how many times I've read this book and poetry in this, and there's always something that resonates every time I just randomly open it up. And believe it or not, again, I randomly opened it to say, let me see what I can find to read as part of this. And the page it opened up on, I'm going to read it. So, your art is not about how many people like your work. Your art is about if your heart likes your work, if your soul likes your work. It's about how honest you are with yourself, and you must never trade honesty for relatability. To all young poets. She wrote that for all young poets.
Ah,
And then I thought it's really fitting for today. And then even more fitting at the time we're in right now with everything that we've got going on. Give to those who have nothing to give you. Seva, selfless service. And that's part of Sikhism as well. And so obviously I'm Sikh. And so I know there was a huge event this last weekend to raise money and food for the local community. And it was led by our community leaders. And it was a great event with a great turnout, I heard.
yes.
Really good.
Yeah, the Yuba Sutter Food Bank, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, those are beautiful poems by Rupi Kaur. So thanks for sharing those. And I had read that she does draw a lot of inspiration for her work from Sikh scripture and following that belief system. And amazing, yeah. She was born in '92. So what does that make her? 20? Is she even? Gosh, 30, 27, 20? Yeah, 28. Let me do the math quickly, David. But yeah, her that was her first book, Milk and Honey. I think she has a couple of new ones out,
Mhm.
The Sun and Her Flowers. Um, yeah, just doing amazing things. So So good. That was very appropriate. Funny how you open the page sometimes to a book, you find the passage you were supposed to find, and it's there at the right time in your life.
I was just thinking, I was like, I couldn't have opened it at a better page. I don't think I can find anything more fitting for this time for today. So it worked out perfectly.
So perfect. So you mentioned your family, and I know from personal experience and some wonderful events that you do have a very wonderful, large, extended family, both here in the community and throughout the state and elsewhere. So how's everybody doing? Are you keeping in touch? Are you using Zoom meetings?
Yes.
Not the same as the touch, high touch, but
It's quite funny. I'm truly fortunate. Obviously, for those that know me, I have 3 children. They're all married. They all have children of their own now. And I hear from them every day, even before all of this. Like they all check in, and they have their set times of when they'll check in. And it's almost like clockwork. Like I could set my alarm by it. And they're all doing very well. They're all taking the situation that we're in right now very, very seriously and adhering to all of the guidelines. In fact, so much so that they're checking on me to make sure that I'm doing the same because they don't believe that I possibly could stay at home and not go out.
you're pretty social. You're pretty social.
And
So are we.
believe it or not, though, when I'm home, I'm actually quite an introvert. So I'm actually not doing too badly with staying at home. My parents are doing well. My siblings are doing well. My nieces and nephews, everyone extended, are all doing well and actually really being mindful as well. I know my younger brother is doing a lot with the Salvation Army. Every spare minute he gets, he's out driving and helping with serving food at the weekends as well. So he inspires me to be a better person. And so I'm truly thankful for him and all he does in the community as well. So
He's a musician. I know he loves to play.
Oh, yes. Yep. Drums.
Good.
Pretty good.
And I know we all miss our grandchildren desperately, right?
Oh, yes. They call and they video chat and change now from 13 down to 10 months. So a huge range with one being the 13-year-old Serena and then 4 grandsons now. So life is definitely, it's amazing, David. Life is good. Life is good. They are all hunkered down working from home, apart from Gomina and Paul, who actually have to go in. So Gomina works for Yuba County and Paul works for Sac County. And so both of them are going in. And so, following the guidelines that they're giving and being mindful, but doing well.
Being safe. Good.
Yeah.
I know we're all anxious to hug those little ones again, and big ones for that matter, right?
Right.
Oh, it's so difficult. Excuse me. I get emotional here thinking about grandchildren. Like I have an 8-year-old granddaughter back east, and we FaceTime at least once a week. But gee, and she's adorable and it's fun and engaging, and she responds and we wave on the little camera phone. It's like, but I want to hold you. It's very hard. Very hard.
It is.
Best. You mentioned live music. I have to acknowledge that there's some good things going on in the community. I mean, Yuba Sutter Arts certainly has mounted a number of virtual programs with open mic poetry events and songwriter workshops and virtual happy hours, just trying to, support our arts community any way we can. Abby, our managing director, is putting together a online art auction that'll launch here in the next day or two, where folks will be able to see a gallery of art by local artists. And if they're so inclined, they can enjoy the art regardless, but if they're so inclined, they can place a bid or purchase an item. We've got some beautiful work that'll be on display. So be watching. We'll announce it on Facebook. I think it'll also be available on our website, YubaSutterArts.org. But in the live music realm, our friend Krista Higdon and her website, Yuba Sutter California Friends of Art and Music, they're doing regular weekly live performances. I mean, it's online. You got to get on the computer or on your phone to watch. But she's got, I thought I knew all the local musicians, but she's brought out a whole group of wonderful local talent. So course, you've got your regulars like Ed Hudson and Joe Moy, Tom Galvin, Gay Galvin have made appearances, but lots of other wonderful performers. So if you can't find that link on or that Facebook site, let us know. It's something like I should have written this down. Yuba Sutter, California Friends of Art and Music. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but it'll give you a little bit of that that feel for the live music scene, which is so active at a lot of local restaurants and other locations. Of course, at Yuba Sutter Arts, we host a lot of live music events in our theater, all of which have had to be suspended. So we're just kind of waiting and watching, and we haven't begun to plan anything new yet. But until we get the all clear, it's kind of hard because you don't want to bait and switch. We've already had to cancel so much. We don't want to have to do that again. So we're waiting and watching. But at least you can get a little bit of that, live music fix online, and there's lots of local talent here to go around. So be watching for those opportunities, support those those musicians, make a comment, let them know that you appreciate what they're doing. Greg Johnson here in Marysville, I think he's doing an 11 a.m. regular daily concert, a few songs. I think most of his original works. So Greg does a great job, wonderful pianist that he's performed at the Burroughs Theater for Yuba Sutter Arts and is really kind of helping bring a live music scene to Marysville. So again, watch for those. Let them know that you're watching and you appreciate what they're doing. So, what else? What haven't we talked about? Yuba Sutter Arts. Our board meeting Wednesday will be important as we kind of set the course going forward for more virtual types of events and new programs and activities. So, you're our second interview on Artist Alchemy. And again, thank you for your arts management and bringing your business background to what we do and all your experience with the county and helping us move forward, I think, in a meaningful way. We like to wrap up these interviews, and we pay homage to James Lipton. And James Lipton, some of you may know, was dean of the Actors Studio at Pace University in New York City for many years. And he hosted a live interview program called Inside the Actors Studio. He interviewed mostly actors. We cast a much broader net with what we're planning to do here in the weeks and months ahead. But he was a very interesting man in so many ways. I had no idea until I started to research him for this program. But he was a writer and performer and a producer and director of musical theater and just amazing kind of a Renaissance man, if you will. Lived abroad for a number of years, served in the U.S., I think in the Air Force. Fascinating guy. But every one of his interviews concluded him asking his subject the same 10 questions. And it kind of presents, I think, an interesting format for these discussions. So with your further indulgence, let's give it a try. So, Narinder, what is your favorite word?
I guess favorite word or one that I use a lot is fine. It'll be fine. It's all fine. I'm fine. Fine.
That's good. What is your least favorite word?
I was trying to think of that and thinking about like least favorite, and it's actually not one word, but the phrase, it is what it is. I just don't understand that. And so it's my least favorite.
Kind of non-committal, namby-pamby.
I know. It is what it is. So what does that mean? I don't understand. So it's like, okay.
Yes, I like it. That's good. That's very good. What turns you on, creative, spiritually, or emotionally?
I think for me, like partially all of those is just being able to make a difference. Just even if I can make a difference in one person's life, in any small way, just being able to make a difference.
And what turns you off, creative, spiritually, or emotionally?
I think along those lines, others' selfishness and narrow-mindedness. And, I think just in the world that we're in right now, we seem to encounter that a little bit more. And so it's a little hard to be okay with that.
What is your favorite curse word?
Oh my goodness. So it's the F word, of course. And much to my children's, what's the word? They are so unhappy that I use that word, and I never used to use it. And now it's like, okay, well, you're all older. You're all like in your 30s and 40s now, so it's okay. I can use it now and be okay. So yes, the F word.
What sound or noise do you love?
Rainfall, the sound of rain. Love it.
And what sound or noise do you hate?
The wind. The wind when it's howling or it's super strong, it's really not my favorite, my least favorite.
Very sensitive to the weather.
I guess.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I'd love to own a small coffee shop or a small bakery slash tea coffee place where, you know, my master's is in gerontology. And so, you know, as I'm one of them now, old folk, I love to listen to people's lives and the story of their lives and what they did when they were younger and what they did throughout their life and what they're doing now, and have a place where people can go and you can have the younger generation come and just listen to them and learn any words of wisdom or just from their life stories of things that they've done well or haven't gone so well. And maybe there's something that we can all learn from that, right? Because we can all learn something from each other. So yeah, that would be my favorite.
I want to go.
I know, right?
I'm right there. I'm ready for some tea and scones, right?
Right? Oh, for sure.
What profession would you not like to pursue?
Corporate investment world.
My
least favorite thing.
Takes a special mindset and skill
It
set.
definitely does. A special mindset and skill set. You're right. And, you know, I don't have it. So my least.
And finally, if an afterlife exists, what would you like to hear from the divine spirit when you arrive?
I would like for them to tell me and say, you're safe now.
Can't ask for any more than that.
Right.
Wonderful. Well, Narinder Dhaliwal, it's been a great pleasure. Stay safe, be well. We'll see you, quote unquote, Wednesday night at our virtual Yuba Sutter Arts board meeting.
You will.
And with a special thank you to our technical support team, producer Abby Cecina, technical director Sam Cecina. Until next time, that's it for Artist Alchemy. Thank you.
Thank you.